Yeah, it's time for your favorite live streaming advice show, your Accountability Success Circle Success Quickie. This is number
54.
54, forgive me. Where we're going to talk about 3 things to remember when your life gets rough. So pull up a seat, get out a notepad, and we're about to get started. All right. In 3, 2, 1, yay!
Yay! We were just talking about how this sounds so like 90s TGIF sitcom. So.
Yeah, it starred Apryl Shooter. With supporting host. Yeah, supporting host Gary Ware. All right, let's get started. Oh my gosh.
Guys, how you doing? Look at how messy my hair is. I went for a run this morning and I needed to shower, but I just couldn't get it done before this. So here I am in the flesh, no makeup, hair messy.
Let's zoom on in.
No, don't do that.
I kid. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hi.
Let us know in the chat how you're doing. We're going to be talking about a topic. Hopefully, it puts you in this sort of hopeful mood. Within the community accountability success circle, where we are the success team. We're always polling to find out what's on people's minds so that we can put together some meaningful content that are just the tips. And this week we were talking about 3 things to remember when life gets tough.
Because it happens, right? Like
it does.
We all go through stuff. And, a lot of times the inspiration for the themes that we pick and the topics that we pick for the Quickie are, things that we're seeing people in the community experiencing or us ourselves. And, it's definitely been a really interesting transition out of like lockdown pandemic mindset for me, at least. And so, and just, some things that have been going on with people around me and just, trying to remember, like, how do we look at the positive when like everything that you're just feeling just does not feel that way. And, there's nothing wrong with kind of embracing or accepting where you're at if it doesn't feel the greatest, but, how do we continue to move forward? Because we know that it's not the best thing to stay there forever. We have to figure out a way to move forward, no matter what's going on in our lives. So today we're hoping to, appeal to those people. And if you're in a good spot, right now, and this doesn't apply to you, then just keep this in your pocket for the times when they do, because, we're just trying to get all different aspects of life. And, this is what happens when you're feeling down in the dumps, or, things are just feeling like they're not going your way. So shall we start, Gary?
Yes. And you know what? You bring up a good point. Yeah. If things are going great, awesome. I acknowledge you. I think that's amazing. This is the perfect time to be paying attention to this so that you can almost put like a little wrinkle in your brain, so that when things don't go as planned, which, life has a tendency to throw you a curveball, you have some strategies at the ready, compared to like being like sort of like, oh my gosh. When you're in that state, it's sometimes challenging to hear the things that are going to pull you out. So without further ado, let's jump into it. And this is the first one is perfect, in that it is okay to be a mess. We just need to just acknowledge where you are, and know that, you know what, this too shall pass, as rough as it may seem. It may seem like, oh my gosh, this season is going on forever. But here's the thing. It's okay to be a mess. You just can't stay there. And so take the time to feel the emotions, take the take the time to just acknowledge where you are. Far too often, especially, people that are very ambitious, type A personalities, are in that rut or in that sort of trough season and want to just be out of it and,
Yeah.
are just trying too hard to just push past it. And I
Power
feel
through.
like, yeah, that's like, for example, if you're in quicksand, and when they say you're in quicksand, the best thing to do is stop fighting the quicksand because you will get deeper and deeper in it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. And I think, especially for people who are like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I am guilty of this too, because I'm like, I need to be over this. Like, I know, like, I'm having my pity party. I'm having my pity party. And then I, immediately like, but it's fine. I'm going to be fine. Like, I got called out on that by one of our lovely ASC members before. She's like, I know that you're not okay. And you just keep on like pushing it to the side and saying like, I'm fine. I'm fine. But, allow yourself that space to like have your pity party. I mean, whatever it is, if you need to vent to somebody, if you need to just like, isolate yourself for just a little bit to like throw your tantrum, scream, whatever it is, it's fine. Get that energy out of you, because then you can start to think about what you can do next, which is probably our number 2 tip.
Yes, which is spark joy. Yes, and when you're in that season where it feels like things aren't going your way, I know how challenging it can be. Or you may feel guilty, or you may feel like, oh, this is not the time. But see, this is the thing. When you do things that bring you joy, when you follow your compass of joy, it gives you that dose that you need. And DOSE is an acronym which stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. That is going to start to give you that momentum that is going to help you come out of that season on top. So, what is something that brings you joy? How little, it could be something completely tiny and take a tiny step, or it could be something, a little bit bigger. For example, for me, I know when I was going through that rough season, I got some energy by just allowing myself space to just look out the window and daydream. And think about a time when things were going a little bit better. And it just, again, gave me, that a little bit of that spark.
Yeah. And, for me, I think about, this, the whole sparking joy is kind of like flipping the switch from like being the like, wah, wah, to like, okay, let's turn the tables. And you can do this slowly. You can do it like quickly, like ripping off a Band-Aid, whatever works for you. But I think in this moment, there is that piece of like, as you are grieving or having these emotions that make you sad or, anxious or angry or whatever that might be, you need to start looking for the small wins, as Gary was saying. This is where self-care comes into play, giving yourself grace. Don't just, be that ambitious person that's like, okay, I'm fine. I got to get through it. And then I'm going to pummel through some stuff just to get a lot of quick wins. Like, just focus on the one, because the rest of that will come. And, for me, I think a lot of times, I have to focus on self-care because I am very outwardly, giving my emotions to everybody else. And so when I'm feeling down, I have to be my own best friend and pamper myself. So for me, it might be in the form of like, I'm going to go get a massage, or I'm going to go get a bubble tea, or I'm going to go, like have dinner with a friend. So that type of stuff sparks joy for me. And as always, you can think about like, if you're not sure what, sparks your joy. If you haven't figured out what your values are, like think about your values. Like, how can you honor those values? Because that's usually where your joy is. So that will lead us to number 3, I think, right?
Yes. And this is it's a big one. It takes a village. And don't be afraid to lean on someone to help you power up.
Yes.
And again, I totally get it if you are the sort of type A personality that think that you can do it all by yourself and asking for help. You don't want to burden other people, but just know that if someone that like and trust was in a similar situation, you would want to help them. And it reminds me of when Jane McGonigal, who wrote the book Super Better, which is all about how games can make us more resilient and live a longer, happier life. She was talking about when she was suffering from a massive concussion, that she was having some moments of like feeling like she was worthless and thinking some deep, dark thoughts that are common when you have these, massive brain injuries. And she turned to her twin sister, Kelly, and Kelly gave her a small thing to think about, a small thing to do. This was her ally, her playmate, that supported her. And as a result, she was able to go through it. So again, just realize that you're not in this by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, there's this feeling of, when you sit with your thoughts when things are rough, you are, we all know that we're our worst critic. So sometimes sitting with yourself, while it might be okay to internally process things, you may be more critical of yourself than somebody else would be. So let somebody else be a mirror for you to help you spark the joy if you're needing it, or to reflect back what they're seeing, so that you can be in a more like rational state to make decisions on how to move forward, how to get yourself out of this rough patch. Because doing it alone, it can be done, but I think being able to allow yourself to be vulnerable and have somebody who you trust, it could be one person, it could be a group of people. Again, this is all subject to what is comfortable for you, but somebody who you can confide in to be that mirror and be that support will help you move through things when things are rough faster than if you were to do it alone. So that could be a coach, that could be a therapist, that could be a family member, best friend, anything that anyone who can be that support. You could talk to your dog if you want. So just keep that in mind. So, it's okay to do things alone, but sometimes it's always better to lean on somebody. So yeah, those are our 3 tips. If you are, feeling good and you're like, I'm not in a rough patch right now, then put this in your pocket, save it for that rainy day. And we'll be here with our little smiley faces to just give you this quick advice and information to solve. And this is just a little taste of the things that we do in the Accountability Success Circle. We're all about, helping people improve their lives one day at a time, focusing on the goals that matter, that make us happy. So everybody's got different goals that we're all trying to accomplish side by side, but we're also a community of support that we can lean on when things get rough. So if you are interested in checking us out, or trying to figure out like, who are these people, come check us out at accountabilitysuccesscircle.com. We will welcome you with open arms, and it's just a fun place to be. So hope you check us out. Yay! Anything else?
Yay.
Hey.
Well, yes. Next Wednesday, July 21st, at noon Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, we have our next webinar, and it's all about creating your post-pandemic ideal life. Our theme this month is reboot. So, we've been thinking about, shaking things up and getting a reboot. And if you want to check it out, there is a link below. And that's where you can get a reminder so that you can come and join us live. It will be recorded. And that
super exciting. Yeah,
everything.
It'll give you a lot of structure as to how to kind of start things over. And now that the pandemic is slowly starting to slow, we don't feel as restricted as we used to. But it doesn't mean that we need to go back to whatever we were doing pre-pandemic. We might have learned a lot of things along the way, but a year and a half has passed, and we've all grown a little bit wiser and have different ideas and passions. And so how do we make sure that we integrate that before we just dive back into the flurry of whatever life without a pandemic feels like? So yeah, we'd love to share some awesome goodness there, and feel free to check us out.
Cool.
All right. Thank you for tuning into our Quickie, and we'll be back with you in the next couple weeks or so.
Yeah. So Yeah, take care, everyone. Bye.